Hi guys, welcome to AndroGuider. So today we will be taking a look at HavocOS. Now right off the bat, you can make it out from the user interface that the ROM is inspired by Android P. The setting icons that you see in here and the quick settings panel, all of them are similar to what we see in the beta builds of Android P. And not just this, even the volume dialog box. We have the vertical volume dialog box as we have seen in the beta builds of Android P. And another thing that I have found similar to Android P is the Wi-Fi menu. The Wi-Fi menu looks like this, and the no network that you see in here, the signal strength, this is pretty much similar to what we see in Android P. Obviously the ROM is based on Android Oreo. It's based on Android 8.1. Obviously Android P is not out yet, so it's based on Android 8.1, and this is an official build of HavocOS for the Redmi Note 3. The ROM has its built-in OT updater, so whenever a new build is out, you will get a notification for that if your device is supported officially. The latest security patches are present, and the SE Linux status of the stock kernel for the Redmi Note 3 is enforcing. So we'll get into the customizations of the ROM right away, and there are a lot of settings, so I'll try and do my best to make this video short. I have got a couple of things linked down below, such as Pulse, Smart Bar, and Fling. I won't be covering all those up because I have already done that in detail in my review of Resurrection Remix. So I'll be having a link for. I will be skipping some portions of that so that I can showcase the unique elements of the ROM. And as I have already said, there are a lot of settings to cover up. So in order to make this video short, I will try and skip over some things. So first up, we have got the status bar settings. You have the double tap to sleep gesture and brightness control. Then you can configure the alignment of the clock, right, center, and left. And then we have got a bunch of clock settings. Clock and date settings. You can show the seconds if you want to. Then we have got the font sizes for AM, PM. Similarly, we have got the font sizes for date. Then you can configure the position of the date, left of time or right of time. We have got a bunch of date styles, normal, lowercase, uppercase, and then we have got a bunch of date formats to choose from. So I'll just quickly scroll through these and let you guys have a look at all the options that we get. Moving on, next we have the battery bar settings. So you can configure the location of the battery bar, and there is only one location that can be set for that, and that is at the top of the status bar. You can configure the color of the battery bar. I will just quickly select a random color. So I have selected green, and I'll just increase the thickness so that it's visible more clearly. The maximum thickness can be 4, and the minimum is obviously 0, and that will hide the battery bar obviously. Then if you want to have a low color for the battery bar, then you can configure that. Custom charging color, and then if you want to blend the colors, then there is an option for that. And if you want to blend the colors in the reverse direction, then you can do that too. And if you just want to make a note of the color values, then from full to empty, this is red, green, blue, and red. Blue to red. So you can make out how the color will change and how the colors will be blended. Then we have you can enable the charging animation in the end if you want to. Next up, we have got the icon. We have got a bunch of icon styles for the battery icon. For this is the portrait one. This is the circle one. This is the dotted circle. Uh, this is the square one, and in the end, if you just want to show the text, then you can do that too. And if you choose to show just the text of the battery of in place of the battery icon, if you just if you just choose to show the text, then you can enable a charging symbol that can be either flash or tilde. And if you choose any icon, then you can decide where you want to place the battery percentage, either inside the icon, next to the icon, or you can just hide it. And then if you want to show the battery percentage of the connected Bluetooth device, then there is an option for that. You can configure the battery saver color, and then there are a bunch of icons that you can enable and disable. And right in the end, we have got the system UI tuner, and from here into you can enable or disable a bunch of icons. Then we have got the network traffic indicators. So you have got a bunch of options here too. You can choose which type of network speed you want to show: upload only, download only, or both of them. And then if you want to auto hide the network indicators when there's no data exchange going on, such as now, then you can just toggle this option, and the traffic indicators would be hidden. You can configure the show unit, and whether or not you want the measurement unit to be shown next to the speed. Then if you want the data activity and Wi-Fi activity indicators to be shown, so quickly, currently you can't see any Wi-Fi indicators. Now you can just see those Wi-Fi indicators right next to the Wi-Fi icon. Yeah. So similarly, the data activity indicators will show these arrows when the mobile data is being utilized. Then we have got the old ticker notifications from KitKat and previous Android versions. Now, I personally prefer these over heads-up notifications. I find heads-up notifications annoying, so that's why I prefer to use the ticker notification instead. And then you have got two animation options. One is fade, and the other is scroll. So I will show you both of them. Um, okay, so let me just quickly choose a song. Yeah. All right. So this is the fade animation, and I will just now that was the ticker animation you just saw. In case you are not familiar with what the ticker animation is, then uh, when the song popped up, once again I'll just show that you again. Yeah, so that is the ticker animation that we have, and that was the fade style. And now I will show you the scroll one. Next song. So this is the scroll animation. I'll just pause the song and swipe the notification away. So these are the notification ticker. These are the settings that we have for that. Then you have got quick pull down and smart pull down. Show logo. If you want to show the logo of HavocOS, then you can do that. You can configure the color, the position, and there are a bunch of logo styles to choose from. Now, obviously, I can't show you all the options, but there are a bunch of options that you can try out. Then if you want to configure the carrier label, then there are settings for that too. You can enter a custom carrier label. If you want to show the carrier label in the status bar, then you can do that. And then if you want to enable or disable that carrier label on the lock screen, and if you want to show or hide the carrier label in the quick settings panel, currently the carrier label is shown here. If you just want to hide it, then you can disable this option. Next, we have the quick settings. You can configure the grid size of both the quick settings panel in both the portrait and the landscape mode. You can choose the number of small tiles. These are what we call as the small tiles. The maximum value is 8, and to me it looks pretty congested, so I will go back to 6. Maybe you can decrease the DPI, and then that will look all right. So if you just go with it, then maybe just decrease the DPI if it doesn't look right, if the small tiles don't look right, so just decrease the DPI. Then you have got the tile title. If you want to display the quick setting title below each quick setting toggle, so currently all the titles are being shown beneath each quick setting toggle. When I disable this, all of those would be hidden. So if in case you want to do that, then there is an option for that. And then we have got the music tile track title. So if you okay, so I will take this opportunity and quickly show you guys. I will explain what the music title track title is about, and alongside that I will use this opportunity and show you guys the quick setting tiles that we have. So these are the quick setting tiles which are enabled by default. I added the screen stabilization tile myself, so these are the tiles that you get by default, and these are the ones that you can add on. So you will know that we have a gaming mode, and I'll just be touching on this too. All right, so these are the settings that we get, and this is the music tile that I'm talking about, and I'll just show you that as well as the gaming mode. All right, so currently uh, this is the title of the music play type. The title of the music quick setting toggle is play and pause, and when I enable that music tile track title option, then you can see that the uh, the title the title of the quick setting tile changes to the name of the song. So that's what this setting is about. Then okay, I will just also show you the gaming mode. Now what we have in gaming mode is that when you enable this option, we will enter the expanded desktop mode. So to exit, you have to swipe down from the top. We will enter the expanded desktop mode, and side by side along that, the heads up notifications will be temporarily disabled till the time you turn the game mode off. So that just improves your gaming experience a lot. So when you are playing games, then you can have this mode on, so that you are not interrupted midway while you are playing a game. So those are the options. Those are two quick setting tiles that I wanted to show you. We will be touching on screen stabilization. That's an option we will be covering later on. Then we have got vibrate on touch for the quick setting tiles. You can choose where you want to show the brightness slider, top or bottom. Then you can enable or disable the brightness icon, clock style where you want to show it. Currently it's been shown in the right. If you want to just show it in the left, then you can do that too. And then if you want to show the running services icon, edit icon, and photo warnings, you can enable or disable them. Panels, you can tweak the dim background amount, opacity, and the corner radius of the volume dialog box. And we have got similar settings for the power menu too. And if you want to show a border around the volume dialog box, then you can do that too. And this is how it looks like. All right, I guess I will quickly, I will just increase the thickness a bit. Yep. Yeah, so the border is now clearly visible. And I don't know, it probably should have been, I guess the accent color should have been blue, but I don't know why it's showing that as that is the teal color that we have. So I will go ahead and select a custom color instead. uh, Let me just quickly go ahead and show you guys the this is, you can pick a custom color, but I guess the accent color should have been the same shade of blue that you see in here, but the accent color was different. It was steel, as you just saw. So you can configure. There are a couple of settings that you can configure for the border. You can configure its thickness, dash width, and the dialog stroke dash gap. So the names are pretty much self-explanatory, but I will again just show you guys. So this is the dash width, and if you want to just increase the gap between two consecutive dashes, then you can do that too. So now you can see that the gap between the two consecutive dashes, between two adjacent dashes, has increased. So that's what this setting is for. Then we have got our ambient display settings. You can enable the always on ambient display, but just make sure, just keep in mind that if you turn this on, then some of your battery will be drained. And if you want to show the battery percent or brief weather info and at the bottom of the ambient display, then you can choose any of these options. And then we have got ambient music ticker. So when a music track is changed, when a next music track is being played, that would be shown. So that's what these settings are for. Then we have got interface. I've already told you guys what expanded desktop is, and you can configure expanded desktop for each of the individual apps. So say if I all right, so some options should have been shown here, but I don't know why, but these options are not visible. So what you do get in these options is that either both the status bar and navigation bar would be hidden, or just the status bar would be hidden, or just the navigation bar would be hidden. So there are options for that, but I don't know why, but these settings are not being shown right now. Probably I don't think this is a bug, because I have been using this from since the last day and a half. I was using this before with the G apps, and then if I remember correctly, the settings underneath here in this dialog box, they were being shown, but I don't know why. I can't remember correctly, but I think that they were being shown. So that's what expanded desktop is for. You can obviously configure that yourself. Then we have got some style settings, and I hope that you would be familiar with this too, but I will quickly just touch upon this as well. So you have got a couple of styles in here. You can configure the accent color, and this is what we mean by the accent color. So you will just you will be able to make out the differences when I change the accent color. So I will select red as the accent color, and these are the changes. And Then we have got the auto magic option, and what this will do is it will automatically scan your wallpaper, and it will recommend you the best accent color and the background color. So the suggested style is dark background with gray accent, and you can see that uh, this is pretty much correct from the wallpaper that we are currently using. And when you tap on apply, although all the changes would be applied spontaneously and without a reboot. So the style is dark, and I'll just go back. Yeah, so you can see the changes do take a while to apply, but they are spontaneous, and nothing sort of a system UI restart or a reboot is required. And if you don't want we have got three or two modes in we have got the light mode and the dark mode in the style option. The automatic wallpaper one that will extract the background color and the accent color from that will extract the background color from the wallpaper. So if you are using a light wallpaper, just if you want to have a guys if you guys want to have a look at that too, then I'll quickly cover that up too. So I'll go ahead and I'll go to wallpapers, and I'll just apply this one. And let me just quickly see whether, yeah, the style is set to automatic. So I'll go ahead and firstly I'll just uh, yeah, so let me go ahead and wallpapers, and I'll quickly just select this one. Yeah, all right, set wallpaper both, and there we have it. So now when I go to the quick settings panel, it should automatically make the changes. Okay, all right, so settings, havoc settings, and now when I go to um sorry, interface and style. Yep, so now you can see that we have the light background, and we are currently using a light wallpaper. That's why we have we have got that bright background. And if I quickly go ahead and move back to the HavocOS wallpaper, the one which we were using before, now you will see that we have a dark background throughout the interface, and it will just take a while to apply those changes. So yeah, there you can see those changes, and now we have a dark background. So depending upon the wallpaper that you are using, the background color will be changed automatically if you select that automatic option. And time of the day, in the evening and during the night time, the background would be dark, and in the day time and in the afternoon, the background color will be light. So you can configure that yourself. And if you want the dark style to be black, then there's an option for that too. And this setting is pretty useful for those of you who are using a device with AMOLED panels. And another thing that I like about this ROM is that there are inbuilt options for customizing the font. There are a bunch of font options that we have in here. Again, it's a long list. I won't be covering all the fonts that we have, but I would be showing you one. So yeah, so let's quickly choose Slate from OnePlus. This is one of my favorite fonts. And just like we have in the styles, there is no system UI restart or reboot required. The font is applied spontaneously, and you don't have to do anything else. So you can see that the font has changed. Next, we have got the blur personalizations. So the settings, again, as I've already told you in the start of this video, I won't be covering everything up. So the settings in here are pretty much self-explanatory. There is a long description here, but what you can use this feature to blur out the status bar background. So you can use it to blur out this particular area, and right now you can see that it's blurred. So that's what you can configure the various aspects, the blur scale and the blur radius, and you can configure the different colors, and the colors, the description that we have in here, that's pretty much explanatory in itself. So I won't be covering that up. Moving on, you have got you can configure the font size, display size, and the smallest width. And this is the device DPI that I was telling you in the when we were talking about the small quick setting tiles. Corners, if you want to, currently the corners are rounded. I don't know whether you noticed that or not, but that would be more visible if we have a light background. Yep. Now I hope you can make out that we have got rounded corners. Uh, yep. And Now when I will turn off that option, the corners would be back to square. uh, okay, so well, actually the corners should have become square, but they haven't. Probably a system UI restart would fix that, or a reboot. We have another setting in here which only fixes itself with a reboot. So I guess that is one of them. I will be telling you guys about the grid style recents, and they can only be applied once you do either a system UI restart or perform a reboot. Only then those recents style will do get applied. So I think this too, the corners will change only after you perform a system UI restart or do a reboot. But this thing does work. I have already mentioned this, and I was using this ROM before. I have been using this ROM since the last day and a half, and this setting works fine. I can tell you that. So a reboot will fix that. Tint, you can choose which backgrounds you want to tint. We have already tinted the notification shade, and there were settings for that uh, in the blur personalize under the blur personalizations. Then if you want to tint the power menu background, again I'll just quickly show it to you. So if you want to tint that, then there is an option for that. I will disable this, and that's how it looks like. Pretty much looks the same to me. There's not much difference that I can tell, but uh, there is the quick setting toggle is we do have a setting for that, but personally I have not felt that there is any difference when you enable the tint for recent backgrounds, power menu, and the lock screen. uh, because when you go under blur personalizations, there are only settings for customizing the blur scale and radius for the expanded status bar. There are no settings for lock screen background tint, power menu background tint, and the recent background tint. So I think this is a bug, or probably they missed out on including the settings for these ones. I'm not sure. Moving on, then we have got the dashboard options. You have got the dashboard conditions and the dashboard suggestions. If you just want to turn either of these off, you can do that. Then we have got the lock screen settings. So you can enable or disable the clock. Then there are a bunch of clock styles. I will be quickly be showing you that too. And alongside that, you can also take a look at the lock screen tint. And I was telling you that it's not working. This is the default clock style you have. And also do notice the screen locking noise sound. Sorry, the screen locking sound. All right, so this is the default clocks that we have. This is the default digital clock, and there is no tint. I don't think that you will call this as tinted anyway. And I hope that I don't know whether you heard the. I'll just increase the media volume a bit, and yeah. So I will quickly go ahead and change the clock style to say analog from Avengers, and we do have a couple of date styles too. So I will choose one of them. Let's say the semi-transparent box. Now I'll lock the screen, and there you have it. This is the analog style Avengers clock, and this is the semi-transparent date. And now we had that unlocking sound. The locking sound and the unlocking sound, both of them are from the Razer phone. So I really find the unlocking sound to be great. That's that chime. That kind of strikes me. Yeah, and then I'll just show you another one. Let's say accent based round, and here I will select. Um, let's see, analog and transparent. So I'll turn the screen off. All right, so these are the two. This is the accent bordered date, and this is the transparent analog clock. All right, then you can configure the font size for the clock, and similarly you have font options for the date, and you can also configure the font size of the date. And then you can enable or disable the alarm text, owner info, and we have got all those font options for that. you can customize almost each and every color aspect of the lock screen, including the weather, owner info alarm, lock screen clock and date. Everything can be customized. Transparency, you can configure the bouncer alpha and the lock screen alpha. Then if you want to limit the number of notifications that are shown on the lock screen, then you can do that. The minimum is 0 and the maximum value is 8, but I don't think that you would be using the setting for limiting the number of notifications to 8. I would personally prefer to have around just 3 notifications on my lock screen, and that's it. So if you want to enable this option, then we have a setting for this. And then we have got a couple of gestures. Double tap to sleep is there, quick unlock, face unlock, pocket detection, and face unlock worked flawlessly for me, and it was quite quick for the Redmi Note 3 users. And I'll just mention another thing for the Redmi Note 3 users right after we are done with the lock screen settings. Then we have got the lock screen charging info, music visualizers, media cover art, and hide status bar. If you just want to hide the status bar on the lock screen, then you can enable this option, and that will hide the status bar. And then if you want to enable or disable the quick settings and power menu, then we have got the options for that. If you want to hide the bottom status text, charging information, and unlock hints, then you can do that. Hide the lock screen icon, and in the end you can configure the middle lock screen shortcuts and the bottom lock screen shortcuts. So just a quick thing for the Redmi Note 3 users. Now when I flashed the ROM, the mobile network wasn't working for me. So what I did to get that working, and this is mentioned in the XDA thread, I quickly went to the mobile network settings and I changed the preferred network type to GSM slash WCDMA slash LTE. By default, it was set to WCDMA only, but once you change that, the network started work. So yeah, there are no bugs in the ROM. Everything works fine, and there are just a couple of minor issues that we have, like the tint I mentioned, and another issue that we have is that the snooze and app info icons, in fact the app notification configuration icon, those two aren't visible. So although they can be clicked upon, but they aren't visible. And similarly for the we have the notification configuration icon too, but that is not being shown. So there are a couple of bugs, but I think that probably the because the notification background is transparent, that's why they are not visible. Or maybe they can change the text color for the icons, then they would be visible. I don't know, but what is there, it's in front of you, the icons are not visible in both the dark theme as well as the light theme. Then we have got the recent settings. So you can enable the clear all button, and we have got the 6 locations pack for that. And then we have got the deep clear option, and I'll just quickly read out the description, and that will make things clear. Clear background processes when using dismiss icon to dismiss task from the recent view. This may lead to unintentional results. Some apps may stop working until you restart them. So it's pretty much clear in itself. Then if you want to show the memory bar, then you can do that, and that's how things look like. And everything is based on the accent color, the power menu, the quick settings panel, the volume dialog box. Everything everything is themed throughout the ROM. Quick settings panel, volume dialog box, power menu, settings menu, everything. And then if you want to have an option for locking a task into the memory and dismiss icon, then there is that too. And you can see this lock icon. So what this basically does is, when this will lock a particular app into the memory, and you won't be able to dismiss the locked app away from the memory, because we have locked this into the memory. Then if you want to, there are a couple of recent styles. You can choose how the clear all button should look like, and we have got a bunch of styles for that. So I will just be showing you one of them. So let's say I'll pick Google, and that's how it looks like. Then if you want to color the different aspects of the recents panel, you can configure the color of the clear all button, the icon color, background color, memory bar text color, full screen distance, date, and clock. Everything can be configured. So animate, and if you want to animate the quick setting, the clear all button, then you just saw the animation. So you can, there are a bunch of options for that: rotation, recents exit. And again, I can't be covering everything up, but we have got a lot of set animations in here. icon pack, you can configure this. And another thing which does require a system UI restart, and I think I recent panel, yeah. So a couple of things here. The grid, we have got a couple of recent layout, stock, grid, and Android Go. Now I can't be showing you everything uh, because the grid style layout I will, okay, so I think this is going and performing a system UI restart now. Yeah. All right, so now when I will go back, and you can now see a grid, the grid style recent layout. When I was using this ROM with the G apps, then for some reason the grid layout didn't work for me even after a system UI restart was done. And it only started working after I performed a reboot. And similarly, we have got the Android Go style, that is just a vertical. That would be kind of like the vertical recents panel that we have seen in Android KitKat and earlier Android versions. So this is what it looks like in Android Go. We don't have that stacked layout, but this is the layout that we have in Android Go. And then if you want to have immersive recents, and for this system UI restart will do the trick to enable this. So full screen recents, and now if you want to show the clock and date in the full screen recents, then I had to perform a system UI restart. Only then did the clock and date started to show up. So I'll quickly just show you guys what I mean. So it's doing a system UI restart once again, and when I will open it up, only now can you see the clock and date. Before that, they weren't even visible. Then we have, you can hide certain apps. If you don't want certain apps to be showing up in the recents panel, then you can hide them. And then we have got slim recents and omni switch. Notifications, we have got, you can configure the notification lights in do not disturb mode. If you want to enable them, there's that option. And you can configure the battery light, and we have got similar configurations for the notification LED. And there is also an option for per app control. If you want to use custom values, then you can configure the uh, color for missed call, voicemail, and you can even configure how long the pulse length and speed should be, short, and these are the options that we have: slow, very slow, fast, and normal. And apps, to add per app control, activate use custom values and press the plus on the menu bar. And so there we have it. When you tap on pulse, you can have a custom, you can set up custom colors for the LEDs, for custom LED notifications, right? Yeah. So then we have got blink flashlight on call, and these are the options that we have for that. And then we have got force expanded notifications, disable immersive mode messages, disable force close notification, heads up, and then we have got a bunch of vibration settings for in-call vibrations. And then you can show the notification count. When your status bar is full of icons, then a notification count would be shown. Kill app button, and again that won't be visible, right? You can see that it's not visible. And if you want to have a toast icon, display the icon of the activity that generates the toast message. Then when there is a toast notification, the application icon would be shown beside the toast notification. Sound, you can enable or disable the screenshot sound, camera shutter, and safe headset volume. And then if you want to launch a particular music app on headset connection, then you can select that when wired headset is plugged in, when Bluetooth headset is plugged in, and all that. Smart notification sounds, app default every 10 seconds, every 30 seconds, every minute, every 2 minutes. So if you have got if you are chatting with someone, and you have got messages coming in simultaneously, then if you just don't want to be irritated by those notification sounds every time the message pops up, then you can use this option. And then if you want to have the notification sound and vibration if screen is on, then no, if no media is playing, you can configure that too. Okay, then we have got the events. So enable event service, and this is a pretty cool setup. So firstly, you have got the Bluetooth A to DP connect. So I'll read out the description, and that is pretty much clear in itself. That will clear things up. So app to be listed when an A to DP event is triggered, such as connecting a Bluetooth headset. So you can which app should be triggered when a Bluetooth headset is connected. I don't. I think that most of you would like to have some kind of music player or some podcast app or whichever app you use to listen to music. Then which app to be which app should be triggered when a wired headset is connected. You can choose that, and then auto run the single app. Do not start event on playback, send media play event after start, and then you can configure the app chooser dialog timeout. And if you select multiple apps from in here, and then whenever a headset is connected, actually I will just pause this video and I will quickly just go ahead, get my earphones and show you what I mean. All right, so I have got my wired earphones, so I will quickly go ahead and select multiple apps. I'll select music and FM radio, and the ROM does have an FM radio. So these are the two apps that I have selected. And now when I will plug in my wired earphones, you will see a dialog box pop up with the showing me to either choose the music player or the FM radio. And I can select anything, music player or FM radio, and there we have it. All right, so that's what this setting is for, and I really like it when you have got multiple apps to choose from. This is one of my favorite features in this ROM. Then you can configure that dialog timeout, or the time limit of that dialog box that you just saw. Then app chooser dialog position left or right. Then if you want, you can configure the wired headset event threshold. Ignore headset even if they are within the threshold time. So pretty much clear in itself. Then you have got the animations. You can configure the screen of animations. And I will just show you guys all the options really quickly. So this is the simple fade animation, and this is the color fade animation, and this is the CRT animation, and this is the scale animation. So yeah, that's what these settings are for. And then we have got a bunch of system animations, disable transition animations. If you just want to speed things up, then you can do that. Animation duration, Android P animation style. This is another Android P tweak that we have. And then you can configure the animation for activity open, close, task open behind animation, task close, and there are a lot of different animations that you can configure. And all the animation options that you see, they have got the same set of options, same set of configurations. So I'll just show you the animation list for one of these, and the rest of the animations have the same set of options. So these are the options that we get. Yep. So moving on, then we have got the list view animation, wave left, wave right, and there are a lot of animations. And if you want to know more about these animations, then I have got a time-stamped link down below in the description box for my review of Resurrection Remix, and that shows how all these animations work. And then the quick setting tiles animation, flip and rotate, and let's see. So this is the flip animation, and this is the rotate animation. Then you can configure the animation duration and the animation interpolator. If you want to disable the transition animations, such as when launching an app, then you can enable this option. If you want, then from here you can configure how the toast animation should look like. And this is the settings icon, and that is the toast animation. So there are a bunch of options that we have for that. I personally prefer to have the slide right to left animation. This is the one that I like. And scrolling cache, and this is just there to improve the performance with the scrolling performance. If you want, then you can, it is enabled by default. If you force enable it, then there would be some consumption of the RAM, but if you are comfortable with some amount of your RAM being occupied, then you can choose the force enable option. Scrolling modifiers, you can configure the fling velocity, scroll friction, over scroll distance, and the over fling distance. I don't use this option myself, so you can just have a look at the settings that we have in here. Then we have got the weather settings, and weather worked fine. All right. So, and one thing of noting here is that for me, the weather didn't work with the automatic location. I had to enable a custom location, and only then did the weather start showing up for me. So I'll just set this to high accuracy, and I'll show you guys that the weather didn't work for me. And another thing is that if you want to use open weather map, then you will have to enter an API key. But actually I didn't find the need for that, because even when I chose weather map, and I'll just quickly go ahead and um, just display the weather, and these are the options that we have, and I will display only temperature with scale, and that will be shown in the left of the status bar. So hopefully the status bar is not that clogged up. Yep. And you can configure the temperature color, the condition image color, and all that. Okay, so I'll go to weather. All right, so we were in the service settings. All right, so I'll go ahead and enter a custom location. Let's say Delhi. Okay, and then it will ask me, I will select Delhi, India. And well, I'll quickly go ahead and select Yahoo. So it's saying cannot retrieve location. Oh, all right. I didn't enable the weather service provider. Now I have, so it should work now. Let's see. Delhi, India. Um, well, actually, I don't know why it's not working. It was working when I clean flashed the ROM, but it's now saying that it cannot retrieve the location. And back then, both Open Weather Map and Yahoo Weather were working. And as I've already told you, I didn't even have to enter the API key for Open Weather Map. It was working. Uh, I don't know what's the case now, but clearly it's not working right now. But maybe just as we go on with the ROM review, maybe the it will refresh. It will refresh the weather in the background, and then the weather just might start to show up. All right. So you'll see if the weather does show up, but the weather was working fine when I was using it with the G apps. Although flashing G apps shouldn't make any difference, but I don't know whether it's currently not being shown, but it was working for fine for me when I was using the ROM with the G apps. Then if you want to display the weather on the lock screen, there's that option. There's an option for that. You can enable or hide the location, condition image. Then you can configure the font style, temperature size, city size, and the condition font. Buttons, I've already told you, I won't be covering up. I won't be. I think that we have got the navigation option, the navigation bar option later on. So I won't be covering up Flink, Pulse, and Smart Bar. I have. I will be having a link for that in the description box. So refer to my previous video if you want to know more about them. The settings for Flink, Smart Bar, and Pulse are same in both Resurrection Remix and in HavocOS. Volume keys, we have got volume steps. The minimum value is 5 and the maximum is 60. And you can configure the volume for different settings: alarm, DTMF, music, notification, ringer, system, and voice call. Then if you want to use the volume keys to wake the device, then you can enable this option. Answer calls, control the media playback when the device is off. You can use that option to skip the tracks. Control ringtone volume, and if you disable that, then the media volume would be controlled by default using the volume keys. And then we have got the keyboard cursor control and reorient the volume keys when the device is rotated. Power menu, you have got these four options, and this is how the power menu looks like when all the options are enabled. And then we do have the long press power button for torch, and automatically turn off the torch. You can set the time limit. Accidental touch, disable keys, allow the button backlight linked to screen brightness. And this setting is pretty handy during the night time when you have set the screen brightness to low, then the brightness of the hardware capacitive keys, if that decreases, then otherwise in the dark, the for me personally, I use this setting a lot. uh, Otherwise in the dark without this option, the backlight from the capacitive keys, that kind of is irritating. But when the screen brightness is low, and the capacitive key backlight brightness. Now that these two are linked, so when you will lower the brightness of the screen, the brightness of the capacitive keys would be lowered too. Then we have got the button backlight touch. So whenever the button backlight will only appear when the buttons are pressed rather than all the time. Timeout still impacts this feature. And then you can configure the single tap, double tap, and long press actions for all the capacitive for all the keys that you have on your phone, and that is the back key, overview key, and the home button. So I will show you. You can select any application or default settings, and I will show you the list of custom actions that we have. So these are the options that we get, and I'll go back. Gestures. Firstly, we'll cover up navigation bar. So you can toggle on and off navigation bar using this master switch. Then you have got a double tap to sleep on the navigation bar. You can configure the mode, smart bar and fling. I have already told you I have got another video link for that in the description box. You can configure the portrait and the landscape height and width. And if you want to have a dynamic navigation bar color, then there is that setting. It will match the accent color of the color that we have. The color of the status bar will match the color of the navigation bar when that app is open. All right. Next, we have got gestures. So we have got pie controls, and the theming can be selected to automatic, battery indicators, network indicators, pi gravity, and you can configure all that stuff. I'll just disable pi. Edge gestures. Now I did use these, and personally I'm not a big fan of full screen gestures. I personally prefer to use the navigation bar gestures, but overall I'll go ahead and disable the navigation bar and just give you guys a quick look at what we have under the what we have in the full screen gestures. So gestures, edge gestures, and what you have to do is the basic gesture is this is pretty much swipe from bottom to trigger the home gesture, keep it pressed to open recents, swipe from the bottom left or bottom right to go back. So now the problem that I had was that there were a couple of times when I was not able to pull off the recent tray, and one annoying thing was that when I was there were times when I wanted to open the app drawer and instead I ended up triggering a gesture. So that was the one complaint that one gripe that I have. But if you are someone who likes edge gestures, then there is an option for that. And most of the times I wasn't even able to use the recent gesture. And right now you can see that, yep. So sometimes I'm able to, and sometimes I'm not able to get the gestures correct. So that's why I prefer to either use the capacitive keys or the on-screen navigation bar. But you can configure the trigger back gesture from both sides, left to right, or you can choose that as left to right, and trigger the back gesture on landscape. Again, we have got the left and right options for that, and trigger below percentage of screen. So I'll go back and enable the on-screen navigation bar. Yep. So next we have got uh, the app circle bar, gesture anywhere, and then you can and then you have got the jump to camera gesture, double tap the power key, double press the power key for launching the camera, and then screen on gestures. And this is another one of my favorite features in this form. So you can configure the number of fingers using the fingers used for gesture option. You can configure the number of fingers that should be used. The default value is 2. You can set this to as 1, but again I won't recommend you that, because otherwise you will be end up you just use your one finger to navigate through the screen. You don't want that to be triggering gestures. So use at least 2 fingers, or if you want you can also go for 3, and the maximum value is 4. So a lot of options, there are a lot of options depending upon your convenience on what you want to choose. So what I use is that I have this down gesture enabled for play/pause media. So these are all the options that we have. Yep. So I use this for play/pause media, and now when I will just slide down, you can see that the song started playing. So even when the music player wasn't in the memory, even then the song started playing. So that's what is the use of these gestures. You can also configure the up gesture, left gesture, and the right gesture. So this is one of my favorite features in the ROM. And then we have got the swipe to take 3 fingers to take a screenshot. I we have got the fingerprint settings. Uh, Fingerprint fake and unlock, allow unlocking device when using fingerprint when the screen is off or dozing. Then screen on fingerprint, the fingerprint sensor will only work when the screen is on. And the authentication vibration. And then we have got fingerprint unlock. So this is when your device does a reboot and then you don't want to enter the pin or password or the pattern lock, and you simply want to unlock your device with your registered finger, then you can do that. And swipe fingerprint for notifications, this option is only there for those devices which support swipe gestures on fingerprint scanners. My Redmi Note 3 doesn't support those gestures, so we don't have an option for that. IME settings, selector notification, disable full screen keyboard, show the enter key instead of the emoticon key, auto keyboard rotation, and all those you can enable or disable anything you want. Battery saving settings, sensor block per package, you can block alarms, wake locks, and suspend actions. So these are the settings which we have. Switch to 2G, disable mobile data, disable GPS. You can just configure everything. Then we have got the screen settings. So enable screen stabilization. So another great feature in this ROM. And so what this does is when you are shaking your phone, now you can see I am currently shaking my phone, and as I am shaking my phone, the screen is shaking too. So this is what you call as screen stabilization. The basic aim of this feature is that when you are taking a walk and then your screen is moving, so if you are reading an article when you are walking, although obviously no one would recommend you to do that on a road with vehicles. Whenever, if you are, say, if you are walking in a park, or if you're taking a stroll, obviously in a place where there are no vehicles or something. uh, yeah, so then if you want to and if you're reading an article while walking, and then this feature really comes in handy because it moves the screen alongside on how your eyes are focused. It uses values, I think, from the gyroscope to rotate the screen. Basically, this was the screen stabilization was an exposed module that I used back, I think in Nougat I used that. And now they have included a setting for that. So if you want to know more about velocity friction, the default settings worked fine for me. So basically use this if you want to if you want your screen to be rotated, if you want the screen to be moved when you are walking and reading something, so that's when it is useful. But otherwise, if you are comfortable without this option, then you can just simply disable it, and it is you can enable it or disable it using the quick setting toggle too. So velocity friction, position friction, and velocity amplitude. I will be having this. There's this XDA thread that consists of information about all these. So I think the thread just got closed. So I'll quickly go ahead and open it up once again. So I think that screen stabilization. This was an exposed module, as I told you. Screen stabilization exposed. All right, so yeah, so the first search result is of that, and I'll load the full screen. I'll load the full version, not the MP page. Yep. So show full post, and yeah, these are the parameter details. If you just want to configure different parameters, then this is what these values do basically. I'll be having this XJ thing. I'll be having this XJ thread linked down below in the description box if you just want to read this, read the details about the different parameters. But these are the different you can configure how the screen stabilization should work. And then we have got the smart pixels option. So this is basically for those users who are using a device with an AMOLED panel. Auto enable on for those of you on LCD screens. This option is won't make much of a difference. So this is basically to prevent burn-in, and then there's this caution in the end. Attempting to restart system UI with smart pixels enabled will cause a black screen, and a full screen and a full reboot will be required to recover. So just make a note of that. And if you have a device with the AMOLED panel, do use the setting. You can set the percent of pixels to be disabled, and uh, and this will help in saving up the battery life and prevent burn-in by shifting pixels every you can just set that time limit. All right, so that's all what we have in screen. and then under system you can show the CPU info, advanced restart, system app remover, and chooser activity blacklist. So this is another favorite feature of mine in the ROM. You can set those apps, you can add those apps which you don't want to be shown in the share menu. Yeah, so you can select any app that you want to be included in that blacklist, and this is another one of my favorite features in this ROM. And in the end we have got the miscellaneous settings, so full screen, alarm, media scanner behavior on boot, and auto USB mode chooser, pop up the USB mode chooser when a device is connected to the PC. And another one of my favorite features, I mean, I don't just connect my device to a PC. I only connect my device to a PC when I have to transfer some files. Otherwise, I don't connect it. And uh, if this option wasn't there, then I will have to pull down the notifications panel, select that notification, and then select the MTP mode. When you have this option, you can just straight away select the transfer files option, and you can just avoid all that effort of pulling down the notification panel and then selecting the option that you want. Then vibrate on plug is their partial screenshot, and you can also configure the screenshot editor. We do have a markup. This is just a quick editor. I'll just take a quick screenshot and show you guys edit, and this is what we have. You can just add some random text, and then you can even configure the color and all that stuff. Undo and redo options are present, and then you can save and share the screenshot if you want. Yeah, so that's what we have under the miscellaneous settings. uh, and then you have got trust by this was introduced by LineageOS, and this basically tells you the SE Linux status, whether your device is up to date with the security patches, encryption is enabled or disabled. The ROM does have privacy guard too, and I have already done an in-depth tutorial about this. I will be having that tutorial linked down below. But there are a couple of new options that were added by LineageOS in Oreo. So if I can go ahead and just show you some of those options. I don't know, I don't have any extra apps installed. So AZ screen recorder. So we do have those options for read external storage, write to external storage, and get accounts. These are some of the new options that we have, and also the display toasts option. So these are, and draw on top. So these are a couple of new options that we have. They have increased the number of options that you can configure in privacy card with Oreo. And then SMS messages limit, you can configure that too. So yeah, and in the end, if you want to know more about the guys who are behind this great ROM, then you can view all the information about them, devices and maintainers, and these are the list of uh, official devices and their maintainers. Then you can view the changelog, donate to the HavocOS team, view their website, Telegram group, GitHub. All these links will be present down below in the description box in case you want to know more about the ROM and the great people who have built it. So very quickly, I'll just wrap up this. These are the display settings. You do get a live display, and you can configure the color temperature. Okay, so automatic and night. I don't know. I mean, it should off. I guess it should let me configure the color temperature, but probably I should disable automatic brightness. I know it's still not allowing me to configure the color temperature. I don't know why, but yeah, you do have a live display. And then the sleep timeout, the maximum limit is 60 seconds, and this is another different thing in the ROM. In most of the ROMs out there, the maximum limit is 30 minutes, but you have an hour for that. I don't know if anyone would use an hour of screen on time, but yeah, the sleep out, the time limit for the screen to be on can be set to as 60 minutes, and the minimum is 15 seconds and the maximum is 60 minutes. Rotation settings, font size, display size, you can configure the DPI, double tap to wake the screen, and this does work for the Redmi Note 3. I didn't test out this option before. Probably I missed it. Then you have got to prevent accidental wake up when device is in VR, and the ambient display gestures. Pick up the device, hand wave, pocket. You can just configure when the ambient display should be triggered. Battery settings. This is what all we have. You can configure the profile, balanced, and you can go all the way up to performance. And yeah, and another thing I think that maybe when you are, I'm not sure about this, but when you have the, let's quickly see that. I didn't test this out, but when the gaming mode is on, yeah, the profile remains the same. The performance profile, I don't know, I was thinking that maybe the performance profile is boosted all the way up to the highest mode of performance, but it stays at balance, as you can see. And then if you want to enable the automatic power saver, then the maximum value is 25%. Optimal charge level alert, if you want to be alerted at 80%, 90 or 99%, then there is an option for that. Again, I haven't seen this option in any other ROM. And then you can view the usage statistics. Sound settings, we have the 4 volume levels. You can unlink the ring and notification volumes. I do that myself. I don't want I almost always have my notification volume set to as low. Then you have vibrate for calls, do not disturb preferences, phone ringtone, default notification sound, default alarm sound. And then you can enable and disable the dial pad tone, screen locking sounds, touch sounds, vibrate on tap, volume adjustment sounds. And you can configure the charging sounds too, and there is vibrate for charge, and we had the same option under Havoc settings too. Yeah, so security and privacy, lock screen message, and we have already seen you can configure the middle lock screen shortcuts. And if I'll go the pattern, you do get those 4 grid sizes. And lock screen preferences, on the lock screen, show all notification content, don't show notifications at all, add users from lock screen message. So yeah, these are all the settings that we have in here. And another thing, and I mentioned this in each and every ROM review that I have done since Nougat, is that please make sure that you fill up this emergency information section. This section can be really very useful if something ever happens to you, and God forbid if that ever happens. Yeah, so you can enter your home, your name, address, blood type, allergies, medications, organ donor, medical notes, and you can add some contacts too. And this emergency information can be accessed over a secure lock screen. So just make sure that you fill up this section. You don't know when this just might end up saving your life. So just make sure that you do fill this up. And if you know someone who uses a Nougat or Oreo device, then do convey this information to them too, and ask them to fill this up. So you never know when such small things might help in saving a life. So yeah, please do that. And under developer options, the developer options are not enabled by default. So quickly enable them. And we do have system profiles too, so you can configure, you can add new profiles too, and you can configure when a profile should be triggered, when a profile should be enabled, when it is connected to a particular Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and what should happen to the Bluetooth, GPS, Wi-Fi, auto sync data connection. So this is kind of like a mini tasker setting. So I use tasker myself, so I don't use profiles much, but it is there if you want to use it. And developer options, uh, yeah, so we have got the system, your demo mode is there. And the ROM isn't rooted out of the box. You will either have to flash Magisk, or I will be having a link to the Lineage Super add-on in the description. Both of them will be linked down below. If you want to enable them, if you want to have root access, then flash either one of them. Then you can select the mock location app. Then we have got some Wi-Fi settings, mobile data always active, USB, select the default USB configuration. You can configure that if you want to. Select Bluetooth devices without names, enable in-band ringing, and then we have got some Bluetooth codec settings. And I guess the codec version, yeah, and we do have aptics. It is there in Oreo. So if you want to, if you use wireless Bluetooth earphones and you want to enable aptics, then you can do that. Show tabs, and then you have animation settings. And the ROM, I haven't changed any of these values. These are the default values. If you want, you can change these values by using the slider. Then we have got some GPU settings. And yeah, and then force allow apps on external storage, force the activities to be resizable. That's all what we have. So that pretty much does it for the settings menu. And then we have got these are the applications that we get in. You have audio effects, browser, calculator, calendar, camera, and the default camera is the Snapdragon camera. So just allow it to No, in fact, I think uh, I, yeah, I think I just said it wrong. The default camera is the AOSP camera. Yeah. And yeah, another thing for the Redmi Note 3 users is that the Google camera mod works fine in the ROM. There are no problems with that. The camera to API is enabled in all the ROMs, so you need not worry about that. And you can see all the options that we get in here. You can set the timer, grid, and then you can change from the front camera to the back camera. You can auto enable the flash, and if you want to change any settings, then you can do that. Resolution and quality, back camera, front camera, you can configure the back camera limit 4K, and that's what the Redmi Note 3 can record. But we don't have any frame rate options for 720p or 1080p videos. And then you have got you can configure the resolution of the front camera video too. Advanced settings, manual exposure, power shutter, bright screen, you can configure all that, and the storage location. Yep, so I said it wrong. It is the AOSP camera. And yeah, next we have you do get an inbuilt clock application. And uh, there is this we have the gallery from LineageOS. And the LineageOS gallery, it supports swipe gestures for changing the volume and screen brightness. And messaging application, music application, and OmniSwitch, we have already covered that up. Phone, recorder, and settings. These are the applications that we have. And the default launcher is the Ruthless launcher. This is a modded version of the Google Pixel launcher. So you can configure the at a glance widget that is there at the top of the home screen. So you can configure different settings, launch clock, use the system for the at a glance widget, and display the Google app. Then you have some dock related settings. You can round the dock, bottom search bar. If you want to change the location of the Google search bar to the top, then you can just disable this option. And well, okay, so I guess that just hides the search bar entirely. Or I don't know, where did the search bar go? Okay, I'll just go back and back. All right, yeah, and another thing is here is that as you just saw, I know I probably just forgot about this, but if you want to apply a particular setting to the launcher, then just don't press the home key, because that won't apply the settings. What you will have to do is you will have to tap on the back key twice, and then that will put the settings into the effect. So just make a note of that. And then you have got some I think we were almost done with the dock settings. So bottom search bar, and then if you want to configure the color of the dock bar and the top drawer color, then you can do that. Show the number of show the dock icons. Dock grid, you can configure the number of icons that should be shown in the app dock. The maximum value is 9 and the minimum is 3. And then if you want to have you can configure the opacity of the dock background. Next, we have got the desktop settings. So the number of you can configure the grid size, number of columns and rows, full width widgets if you want to do that, and uh, and that doesn't allow overlapping, I guess. There's no setting for overlapping of widgets. Yeah. Then you can show the caret, hide the app name, lock the desktop, add icons to the home screen for new apps. You can enable or disable that. Edge margin size, label font, and transparent status bar. Theme and icons, you can choose. We do have that support for adaptive icons. And icon pack, you can use that. If you have any icon pack installed, you can use that. Then there is automatic generation of adaptive icons for those applications which don't support them. And I'll quickly go ahead and go back to the home settings. All right, so we go to, yeah, and then you can configure the theme, white with the dark text, dark slash colorful, black, or auto theme. And again, that auto theme will automatically be applied by extracting colors from the wallpaper. And icon size and the icon label size. Feature flags, apps button, you can enable or disable that. Legacy search, hide the dock label for 18:9 panels. Launch assistant when clicking on the mic icon in the search bar. Miscellaneous tweaks, allow home screen rotation, dynamic pop-up menu, fallback search bar, reset app names, add two-line labels, second hand, transparent navigation bar. So there are a lot of settings basically. Notification doors, you can enable or disable them. Numeric badge position, double tap to lock on the home screen, and then home action on the home screen, quick search, voice search. But just keep in mind that if you have anything like a smart bar or pulse enabled, and you configure the actions of the home key in that, then the smart bar actions would be triggered, and the value that you set in here, that won't be used. So just make a note of that. uh, yeah, so that's pretty much about this that's pretty much that we have in this ROM. And just to sum it up, these are the wallpapers that we get. You do have the Google wallpapers and the on-device wallpapers. There are a couple of them actually. I don't know, it's not showing all the home screen wallpapers, so I'll just quickly allow it access. And there are in fact 4 or 5 wallpapers that we have. So I'll go here. Yeah, so there we have all the wallpapers that are there in the ROM. There are 5 of them, 5 of HavocOS wallpapers, and then you can download other wallpapers from Google wallpapers. And widgets, these are the ones that we get: clock, contacts, email, gallery, OmniJaws. Yeah, and talking about OmniJaws, the weather still hasn't showed up, so I don't know. Service settings, we did already tweak that. So yep, so still you can see that we don't have any weather data. So probably I don't know, the weather data was working fine for me. Maybe it will work fine after a reboot. I'll let you know if I do get the weather working. I will mention that in the description and in the comment down below. So that's pretty much it for this ROM review, guys. I hope you like this video. It again, it's has been a really very long video. I have tried to be as detailed as possible, so I hope you like this video. If you did, then do give this one a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. So thanks a lot for watching. Have a nice day, take care, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.